On the 30th of April 1941, the last British, Australian and New Zealand troops were evacuated from Greece, leaving the country in the hands of the Germans. 2 weeks earlier, most of Yugoslavia had surrendered to the Axis forces. Germany now dominated most of Europe. The Allies were desperate to halt this tide of German successes. In April 1941, Germany had launched the 35,000-ton battleship, the Bismarck. Hailed as the most powerful ship in the world, the Bismarck was designed to destroy merchant shipping. The British had also launched a new battleship, HMS King George V. On board, Norman Gray was receiving news through the ship's grapevine.
We heard that we were having a special visitor down, Winston Churchill. He'd come aboard and give a speech in the after hangar to all the ship's company. So, of course, on this day we all mustered in the after hangar. He said, "Don't forget that Germany has just launched their own battleship, the Bismarck." And, you know, with all his gesticulations, he went on, "This ship, the Bismarck, is for you, all of you here. That's your prize to win. And I wish you the very best of luck."
I can't tell you how important it was for us to find the Bismarck, because her role was to go out into the Atlantic and destroy the convoys which were bringing us food and petrol and ammunition and all the rest of it from America, without which we couldn't have continued the war.
On the 18th of May 1941, the Bismarck set sail from Gdynia. With her was the cruiser Prince Eugen.
And they were spotted by a Swedish cruiser, the Gotland, and the Gotland radioed to headquarters. Luckily, we had a very good naval attaché in Sweden, and he sent a signal immediately to the Admiralty in London.
On board the Bismarck, Admiral Lutyens plotted his route to the Atlantic, around Iceland and through the Denmark Straits. Also in the Straits were the British cruisers Norfolk and Suffolk. Just south of them, in the Atlantic, Ludovic Kennedy was on board the Tartar.
It was about 9 o'clock, and a signal buzzer sounded at the bridge, and the signalman said, "Oh, Christ Almighty," or something like that. I said, what does the signal mean, Pearson?" And he said, "It means that the Norfolk and Suffolk have sighted one enemy battleship and one enemy cruiser on a course of so-and-so at a speed of 30 knots, and they were coming our way." So I said, "Christ Almighty too."
The battleships HMS Hood and Prince of Wales changed course to intercept the Bismarck. At 5:30 a.m. on the 24th of May, they spotted her, and although they were at long range, opened fire. The Hood, completed in 1920, was the world's biggest battlecruiser, but she had one fatal defect. The armour plating on her decks was too thin. The brand new Bismarck fired a lethal shell.
With her something like fifth salvo, the Bismarck had a plunging shell at a very long range, which went right up in the air and then down, penetrated the deck of the Hood and set off the magazine, and the Hood blew up. Blew up with literally 3 survivors out of a ship's company of 1,400. Well, it was a terrible blow. You've no idea that the admiration and respect and love that the British people had for the Hood. She was the epitome of British sea power, of the Royal Navy. And people, when they heard that she'd been sunk, simply couldn't believe it. They thought that there had been a mistake in the signal, and that it meant either somebody else had been sunk or that she'd been badly hit, but not that she'd actually gone.
Not only were the British mourning the loss of the Hood, they were also lamenting the fall of mainland Greece. In October 1940, Italian forces had invaded Greece through Albania. Although Hitler had said that he wouldn't help in any of Mussolini's madcap invasion schemes, in April 1941 he did send German troops to Greece to help the hard-pressed Italians. This greatly shortened what could have become a long campaign. Britain's response had been to send more reinforcements from North Africa.
We took British army forces to Greece, and it was only about, as far as I remember, a few weeks later that we were removing the army from Greece and taking them to Crete, because the Germans were coming right down. And so we did that.
About 60,000 troops were withdrawn successfully from Greece, but of course they left their, they only had their personal weapons, guns, tanks, they were all left behind in Greece. There was no way of getting them away.
With the Axis powers controlling most of the Mediterranean coast, the British had commandeered Crete as a staging post. It was used by Allied troops on their way to and from North Africa, and by the Royal Navy patrolling the Mediterranean. Aware of the strategic importance of Crete to the Allies, Hitler wanted to deprive them of it and use it for his own troops. Having used paratroop attacks in France and Belgium with great success, on the 20th of May 1941, Hitler sent 3,000 paratroopers to Crete